This is music, and this is a black metal twofer version of Tapeworm Terror. In a video I did on some of the black metal items in my collection, I showed you these two cassette tapes, Völva's Promises Unfold as Lies and Lurid's Self-Titled. And in that video I said that I hadn't had a chance to listen to these yet, but now I have, so now we can talk about them. So let's start out by having a look at this one here, Lurid's Self-Titled. It's a single kind of thing, maybe a demo kind of thing. It has 2 songs on it. The cover art is pretty simple. I quite like the sort of ink splatter effect that you can see, the kind of white, I guess, blots of ink, that's what they're supposed to be, maybe blood or whatever. But I quite like that effect. It's very simple in terms of its packaging. The cassette tape, it's the same program on both sides, so it has this simple label on it with the name of the record label and then the logo, and then you have the ink splatter effect as well. The J card is also pretty simple, just the cover art. You have the spine as well, and then you have a track list on this part. On the inside you have Vendetta as well, you have the logo, and then you have the name of the members. And they have opted for the initials way of showing that you are part of a black metal band. So you have PK on guitars and vocals, you have RG on guitars, AK on bass, and DO on drums. So this, as far as I remember, is a band from Chicago or somewhere around Chicago, but their style sounds very kind of, Norwegian in a way, like this kind of cold tremolo picked style with chords that are darkly harmonic. So not that much innovative stuff going on here, but that doesn't have to mean that this is not good, because it is very good. I quite enjoy these 2 tracks. But yeah, you have your blasty parts, you got some heavier parts, some kind of melodic stuff every now and then, but for the most part you're kind of tremolo picked Norwegian inspired black metal stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure. One thing I do kind of like a lot about this is how bass heavy it is. The bass kind of lays a very kind of heavy kind of brick bottom, and then you have that very cold guitar work on top, which is almost like icicles on the wall. I don't even know if that's physically possible, but you know what I mean. And I quite enjoy that. That's actually quite refreshing, I would say, this bass heavy sound. And I also quite like that the vocals are not your screechy black metal vocals, or this kind of tortured screams that you also sometimes hear in black metal. They have opted for kind of cavernous death metal guttural approach. So kind of growled vocals with reverb and kind of atmospheric, kind of like you hear in cavernous death metal. And I do think that approach in cavernous death metal, I think that was originally inspired by black metal, so it's kind of gone full circle now. But I quite like that. It actually quite fits the music very well, the more guttural stuff, and it's a nice touch, I think. So yeah, if you like your black metal and your kind of Norwegian inspired black metal, do check this one out. The 2 songs on here I think are very good. I enjoy listening to this for sure. I'm glad I picked it up. Okay, up next, Völva, Promises Unfold as Lies, a 5-track EP out on Dead Bangers Records. Same program on both sides as far as I remember. The cassette here is kind of like a military green, and then you have the cool logo printed on it, and you have the title as well. And the J card is also kind of simple. The outer side, the front, kind of looks like this. And on the inside, you have a band photo and the lineup. So you have, and these have guys have, or ladies, or both, have gone for the kind of more punky approach where you just have the first name. So you have Jonna on bass, Åsa on guitar and vocals, and Jonna actually plays the bass and vocals as well, and the cello, so that's pretty cool. And then you have Joss or Joss on drums, and I don't know if you can see it, but they look very punky. They look more punky than black metal-y. And black metal and punk, especially crust punk, have, I would say, been allies for a long time, because Celtic Frost, one of the proto, and Hellhammer even more so, one of the proto black metal artists, their style was very, very influenced by Discharge and the crust punk scene. And this release here has been described as kind of blackened crust punk. But to be honest, to me, musically, this is much, much, much more to the black metal side of things. You have more black metal things popping up, like the fast tremolo picking, the kind of blasty drums, and even the kind of, you know, fast, not quite blasty, but sub blasty drums that you heard in a lot of kind of early second wave black metal stuff. This is by the way, if I didn't mention it, this is a Swedish band. So to me, musically, this is black metal. The crust punk part, it's a bit in the image, but also in the sound. The kind of production, the kind of guitar tone, the sound of the drums, the sound of the bass, that's more on the crust punk side of things. So the drums have a very kind of round, an organic sound to them. The guitar tone is very crusty, and the bass has a very kind of, I don't know, pointed, square kind of sound, because it's picked. And you do have some kind of breakdowns where you hear the bass just, which is also more of a punky thing. But overall, this sounds more like black metal to me than crust punk. But there are some crust punk elements for sure. And this is great. I really enjoyed listening to this. I ended up listening to this kind of like 5 times in a row. Did the same thing with this one, to be honest. So, yeah, black metal with a crusty sound, but you know, kind of an early second wave black metal approach, and maybe even kind of a proto black metal approach when you do have the more crusty elements in the music itself. But there's not a lot of deep beating and stuff like that going on here, but it doesn't have to mean that it's bad, because it isn't. This is great. If you like, I would say if you like black metal, check this one out. See if it's your cup of tea. It certainly is my cup of tea. So yeah, just my take on Lurid's self-titled single, and Völva's Promises Unfold as Lies EP, both on cassette tape. I would recommend both of them to fans of you know, straight up old school traditional black metal. There you go. Thanks for watching.